You know, I think I've realized, again, this is complete, like me just off the gut. There's no facts to back this up whatsoever. But I think this is what Trump is when it comes to race. I think Trump is, and maybe purposefully so, ignorant to the minority experience in America. And because he doesn't have the same level of empathy or compassion that someone who has watched maybe their black friend get harassed by the cops or these types of things. So his mind, he's like, no, I just treat everybody equal. Like, remember back in the day when I was partying with all the rappers and everybody thought I was cool? Yeah, I just treated them like regular guys. And I think the rappers and stuff back in the day were all like, yeah, he's just some rich dude, but he just treats you regular. He don't even fucking care. And I think they were kind of seduced by that, but they never had conversation with Trump about like empowerment in these neighborhoods and that kind of stuff like that. So I don't know if he's hateful of minorities. I do not think that he's empathetic.
I actually think he's a marketing genius.
But take that in and let's address that. What do you guys think about?
I think maybe, but he also doesn't care. I think he is...
Doesn't care is lack of empathy.
No, but like, I think, yeah, he's just looking at it as, the main thing to me is like, I know how to win. I know how to market myself as a winner.
Remove win. Like, talk about the man. Like, not about winning the election. Like, truly, like I remember it really, the light bulb went off for me when he said to black people, he's like, what do you got to lose? Just come to, like, that was his pitch to black people. His pitch to black people was like, we're going to help you. We're going to figure out, I understand what you go through. I understand the tough things about this systemic racism that you've experienced has created these environment. Literally the thing was, yeah, it sucks. Just try it. Right? Yeah. He didn't even try to appeal to the situation, right? It was literally, you have nothing to lose, so you might as well come on, try it my way.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I could see that perhaps maybe he doesn't have contempt on like racial lines, but perhaps it's on class lines. I could see him probably
more so.
I could see him perhaps having a lot more disdain for poor people.
100%.
Like, when his like buildings are like redlining and like they're not letting like black people come in, it's wrapped up in racism, obviously. And in that case, he's probably racist. But if it was like a wealthy black dude, then
if Dr. Dre wants to live in the building, please, Dr. Dre, come on in.
That's what I'm saying. I think he understands cachet and celebrity, and is not going to stand up for the right thing, especially if it infringes on like his class. Like
now, the tricky thing about class is, at least his politics appear that he's willing to turn a blind eye to poor whites. In terms of his contempt, right? So he's willing to appease whatever it is that they need, right? He's willing to pander to them, obviously, for the votes. Now we're talking about the votes thing. But I do really think it is maybe more tied up into class. And I'm curious if all these rappers and these like producers and like people, these black celebrities ever got the feeling that he was racist back in the day, because they never spoke about it, right? And I'm sure they would have. There's no reason to protect him. Not like he was doing anything for their careers. Right?
I think the distinction to make is that obviously, as we know, like race is tied up in class.
100%.
Yeah.
Race is tied up into everything, right? But I think that explains the lack of empathy.
I think there is an added layer with race. There's an added layer of, I judge most people as being beneath me if you're not at my income level. Even if you're black at my income level, I don't see you as equal. I don't see you as equal as I do an NBA team owner. Like if him and Mark Cuban, there's like a respect / a little bit of fear with Cuban. I don't think you would have that with a billionaire black dude. Bob Johnson or whoever. He's just like, yeah, sure, but he's black.
What is your like backing for that?
I think he's a super rich guy, super rich people. In my limited experience, they see class more so than anything else, but there's also a little bit of race tied into it. Like black people are still a little bit beneath me. You know what I mean?
So it's like, I agree with Akaash, but at the same time in my head, I can't point to an example of why I feel that way. It's almost like you just have a feeling about a person. Yeah. And he gives that off.
I'm wondering if that's your guys' internalized bias based on experiences that you've had with people in your lives. Whereas like Mark and I, our internalized bias is different because we're white.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, it's possible.
You've experienced maybe a rich person like looking down on you that you're just as wealthy as,
right?
Because of your race being different. right? Where like we haven't had that same experience.
Or maybe we're paranoid because it's happened before. So when I'm with a rich person, but I feel like when I'm with really rich people, there's already some like level of condescension, but I feel like there's a little bit extra because I'm not white. Whereas if I was white, he'd be like, and maybe it's cultural. Maybe I get this guy. But I think there's like an extra layer with really wealthy people of like,
I have this.
Yeah, but I'm still white. Like,
and
I
we've
have this
heard it.
feeling.
Like I've heard like Jay-Z mentioning songs like when he got rich and they wouldn't even let him get an apartment in Tribeca or something.
Right.
So it's like Jay-Z at that level in time, he was the Drake at that time.
Yeah.
And they were turning him down from buying an apartment in Manhattan. So it's like, I don't think that would ever happen to any rich white guy.
Of course not. No, I'm not debating like the treatment.
And so I'm thinking because Trump is a property owner, he has that same type of mind state as those.
So
property
I
owners.
wonder, and again, I think that could be 100% true, but I wonder if, like what Mark was saying before, he's looking at through the lens of profitability and through the lens of class rather than through the lens of race. So
or it could be both.
Yeah, or most likely they're both intertwined. We're arguing like at what percentage they tie in. Like I wonder if there's a rich black dude that like believes all the same shit Trump believes, if they can't be friends.
I think they can be friends, but again, I always think there's a little extra something.
Say again?
Isn't he cool with Tiger Woods?
Yeah, like a Tiger Woods or something like that. Like I believe that they could have that type of friendship or whatever like that. And again, I just don't have any proof to say otherwise. I believe if there's a rich black dude that's like, now we need to be empathetic to like the minority struggle in the United States of America. And I think that he looks at that like, let everybody pick them by their bootstraps and like, be accountable and this kind of shit like that. Like, I just don't think a lot of these people can step back and like consider why they are where they are and why other people aren't.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, maybe the methodology of, I don't give a fuck what treatment I've had, I'm going to go out there and get it. Maybe that works better. But it doesn't hurt to have some empathy.
Yeah.
Well, I think the binary of trying to think about people as racist or not racist isn't really conducted.
Yeah, I actually agree with y'all that it probably is more classism than anything. I think that's a small layer, and I don't think that has anything to do with how he markets himself as a politician. I think he's looking at it sociopathically, which is, I know how to market my way to being president. I'm going to speak to this large percentage of population. There's a big void in the market.
And that sometimes means he does racist things.
Yes.
Like, I don't think we should discount that. Like, he does racist things. And when he doesn't let black people go into his apartment buildings, that's a racist behavior.
Yeah.
Racist.
But,
even if it's dictated by financial gain, you're still choosing to do a racist act.
Yeah.
Even if the act isn't dictated by the racism. Right? If he's going into it, all right, if black people are in the building, then I'm not going to get the same amount of white investment because they don't want to live with the black people. All right, I'd rather have the white investment. Don't let the black people go in here. I don't care if you're motivated by money. You still did some racist shit.
Yeah.
You got to be accountable for that.
But a lot of times in our brains, we think like of KKK or not KKK.
Yeah,
so
that's
we're
right.
Like,
the binary is tricky.
so it's like, oh, like you can do racist behavior, but still not operate as a racist in most of your life. Like you can have a black wife, but still like have animosity or like behave in a racist way or like profile someone in your store.
And we all have prejudiced thoughts, so it's also tricky, I think, for us to individually judge at what degree of racist action are you racist.
Yes, it's like you don't like I've had friends who I'll remain, nameless with these folks, but like they do not stand for any racism towards black people.
Right.
But they will be making Asian jokes, bro.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The delivery guy is getting these jokes.
Right.
But any subtle black racism, a joke on an Instagram post or anything, not tolerating it. This is fucked up. This is foul.
Are we talking about black people?
I'm like, but Drew, don't talk about me in front of my
I tried to keep you nameless, dog. But there it is. It's like they're against racism. That's anti-racism
Yeah.
in one direction.
Right.
Yeah.
But it shows that it isn't a binary. Then there's other places where there's, for whatever reason, room for it.
Right.
So yeah, maybe we shouldn't look at people through the Jamila Hill lens. Racist, not racist.
Right.
Maybe we got to start looking at people as complex figures, man.
Yeah, it's just hard.
Maybe if we don't look at them, if they are racist or they're not racist, we basically look at them through, I don't care if you're not racist. If you are willing to take accountability and do a racist act, then we judge you based on that. Like your decision to redline, even if you don't hate black people, is a racist act.
It doesn't make you racist, but that's a racist act.
And we got to hold you accountable for that.
Yeah. Yeah, the idea that if you are a Trump supporter, you're racist is just like crazy.
Or some like white kid who's like rapping a song and then says the N-word in the song. Yeah. That might be racist, but I don't think that makes the kid fucking racist. He just didn't know who was listening.
Your statement, so I think the reason why people say that, if you're a Trump supporter, you're racist, is because he energizes racists. So it's like, now if you're supporting the guy who energizes
there is a point at which I think you have to have some empathy for some people who are like really poor white people who are struggling, who are like, this is the only guy who's cared about me in 20 years, who's spoken to me. So if some bad shit is happening to other people, that sucks. But this is the only guy that's ever said to me that I matter in a political arena since what? Who knows?
Fucking FDR.
So I feel spoken to with this guy, and that sucks that that's happening. But we all compartmentalize.
But that's basically what we're saying.
Whereas you are like, if I said to you, yo, India is so fucking poor, dog, you have no idea the level of poverty. You can't even wrap your mind around it. Yeah. A lot of people, LeBron James, yo, that sucks. But I got to worry about what's in my people's best interest right now.
So let me say something to that. I think that is completely the reason why people are voting for him. 100%. I also think that you can hold Trump accountable for, I don't want to say like, you can hold Trump accountable for his own behavior, right? But just as like, you said he enables racists, remember you were just saying that, right? It's like, or he galvanizes them. When he wasn't letting black people, rent his places or buy his places, and I don't know how much of that he did. I'd have to look into it, but I'm sure there's,
I've only heard of the instances on Instagram.
On Instagram, right? So it's like, but when that happened, he's actually still enabling the racists.
Mm-hmm. He's siding with the racists.
Yeah. Right? Because even if he doesn't hate black people, he's like, wait a minute, the people who want to buy my shit hate black people?
Course.
I got y'all.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we know he has potentially, I have to look deeper into it, a history of maybe he has zero hate, but willing to sacrifice his zero hate and what is maybe right for the greater goal, which I think is what Akaash was touching on, which is, I got to do a little racist shit to be president? Oops. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it is an interesting thing.
That's why a black person or any person of color can look at support of Trump and say, you're racist to support this guy who...
But it's the exact same distinction we were making.
So it's like both statements are correct.
Real quick, and I think this makes your point, which is you could look at it as, I think you can say you are supporting a racist.
Boom.
I don't think you can say it makes you racist.
Correct.
I think that's where there's pushback. Yeah. I think if all these people that say anybody who votes Trump is a racist, I think if they just said, hey, if you vote for Trump, you are supporting a racist, I think some really poor people would be like, man, I wish I didn't have to. But he's the only one who's saying he's going to open up the factory, and that's the only fucking job that I got or I know how to do. I'm fucking sorry. I think they might even go, look, I'm sorry. If that Biden guy said he would open up the factory, I'd give you that shit in a heartbeat. And don't get me wrong, there's tons of Trumpers who are like, yeah, fuck anybody who doesn't look like
There's definitely Trump supporters who are racist. I've had death threats from a lot of them. That's a fact. Yeah. But I will still not do the, if you vote for Trump, you are racist.
And he's the one that gets affected by the racism. Yo. That's the brave. Like, if I say that statement, the motherfucker's like, you just protected Trump. He's the one that gets hurt.
I gotta keep the same energy. I can't switch up my whole shit because the fire came in my blood.
And I agree with that. It doesn't make you racist, but you are supporting a racist.
Yo, you're supporting a guy who is
he's a
pandering to race, who sympathizes with racists and panders to racists. Yeah. If you say it like that, and this is kind of the cool thing that we do with the weekly monologues, is like we try to slice things really thin.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're giving people a look into like our workshop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, what could we say that actually both sides would have to give up and agree? Mm-hmm. And I think you almost empathize with someone who's so fucking poor and distraught that they got to support a racist.
You live in the
or a guy who sympathizes with racists.
Yeah.
Like you almost go, oh fuck, how shitty is what you got going on, that's your only option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know? And you also emphasize the person who's like, yo, this guy's cool, like empowering racists. Why would you support him? You understand that. Yeah, both sides are fucking reasonable. And when we stop looking at it through the binary, like you said, you realize that both sides kind of have a point.
Yeah.
Man, we're important.